In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
football game. Fire to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins. Auburn wins the BCS National Championship.
Glad to be back.
Glad to be back.
Hashtag the return.
Back by popular demand.
And you're going for the over there unless you
I'm
expect
definitely going
a
the
shutout.
over. I mean, come on.
Steven, non-power five.
Guys, are you ready?
Where Birmingham goes to talk football. This is Under Review.
All right, here we go. Another week in the books, which means another week to be discussed and previewed here on Under Review. If you are watching the stream or listening to the podcast, we appreciate your support. Big show today. A little schedule adjustment this week as we normally record on a Wednesday, but, we pushed it to Thursday. Stephen Williamson, my co-host as always.
How's it going?
Tyler Evans, our producer, the man behind the glass. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing fantastical. Because you're beside me. Whenever you're beside me, I'm just fantastic.
Things are just right in the world.
It's true. It's true. I do better when Cole Moreno is beside me.
I love it. We got a lot of college football, a lot of NFL to talk about. A lot of things happened over the weekend. A lot of stuff coming up this weekend. We'll start with the best and worst of things we saw this weekend. Stephen, who is drinking champagne this week?
Drinking champagne, so mine is a little bit different. It's off the sports world a little bit, but they're still drinking champagne. I think Twitter is drinking some champagne this week. They were the only one that didn't go down. They literally had a tweet that
everybody went to Twitter.
Yeah, they had a tweet that said, "Hello, literally everyone." Literally everyone.
That
hello.
was pretty funny.
So I think Twitter is feeling themselves this week. They might be popping some bottles of champagne and be like, "Hey, at least we weren't the ones that went down." So
hey, the Twitter stock definitely probably took a little bit of a rise this week.
Went up a little
Facebook and Instagram and whatnot might have went a little bit down.
That's painful.
Well, I think the guy popping bottles this week, getting to football, is Mark Stoops, the Kentucky head football coach. Came into this job, a few seasons ago, and this was a 2-win football team. And now they've become more of a competitive football team, and now they're on track to being a 5-0 team. And of course, in 2018, they won 10 football games, and a lot of people around the league think that this could be another year that they could win 10 wins. They've gone to 5 straight bowl games, and they've been really rocking and rolling and whatnot. We'll see what happens for the Wildcats. I think it might be a little bit of a fool's gold so far this season. We'll see what's going forward.
I almost had Kentucky as mine. Or Waka Flocka, maybe. Rushing the field with him.
That was pretty cool.
He can pop some champagne.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Tyler, what you got?
So mine's kind of similar to yours, Cole, but I got Michigan as my best of the weekend. Jim Harbaugh and Michigan Wolverines beating Wisconsin this past weekend in Madison. First time they've won there in a decade. Big win for Jim Harbaugh this weekend, guys.
Yeah, is that fool's gold, though? Because Wisconsin kind of sucks.
We'll see.
Regardless, I think it was a big win for Michigan to get over the hump.
It is. So we'll go right back to you, Tyler. And who's sipping some whiskey after you got some champagne pops, but who's sipping some whiskey on the rocks?
So I think Coach O is kind of sipping some whiskey on the rocks this past weekend. Coach O and LSU losing to Auburn this past weekend. I think that's a big loss for Ed Orgeron, considering he's arguably on the hot seat.
Yeah.
First loss there to Auburn since 1999, guys.
I am
Big
glad
loss.
that Tyler brought that up, because did y'all see the story about Ed Orgeron getting into it with a fan on the Coach Collins show? They actually called the show.
We literally just watched that. I don't know, 10 minutes ago, Tyler.
Yeah,
that's so funny that you mentioned that. I
hilarious.
did not know about this until I was driving and listening to the Paul Feinbaum show, and I got to listen to the bit and kind of hear him. And the broadcaster tried to stop Edo, but he just wanted to reply to that guy so badly.
Yeah, well, I mean, that guy. That guy had it coming, though. You got to let him reply. If he's going to go on the show and do that, you got to let Edo
especially when you get to more personal and whatnot. So
definitely. But yeah, his seat's definitely getting warmer. LSU did not look good. Auburn they let Bo Nix did Bo Nix things. So I guess you get the good and the bad with Bo Nix.
Absolutely.
Cole, what you got? Who's sipping whiskey?
Another conference seems to be taking itself out of the playoff picture. I think the Pac-12 might be the team that's kind of sipping some whiskey this week. I mean, I think even though this conference is not done completely, I think that Oregon losing to Stanford really took a big hit to that conference, kind of putting themselves in a position to be in the playoffs. So, I mean, like Clemson when they lost, and of course they lost again, so that definitely put them out. I mean, Oregon still has a chance, but I mean, now you look at it, Alabama, Georgia, Cincinnati, and then maybe one of the Big Ten teams might be your 14 playoff. If the playoff started today, I think everybody would have one of the Big Ten schools and then Cincinnati and the two powerhouse of the SEC.
Yeah, the Pac-12 love to beat up on each other. They love to get one team
They
that
do.
you think is going to make it out, and then all of a sudden they just lose to a team they should have no business losing to.
It seems like
So
Stanford's always that team that
Stanford
kind
does
of
like to upset people.
puts that Pac-12 team out. USC or Oregon or at times.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been several teams
Utah
this
every
year.
now
Yeah,
and then.
Utah
It's just
every
like
now and then. So,
random
yeah.
teams are just going to be like you have a team that you're like, okay, this team is going to make it. Like they're going to be the one. Like you had Oregon this year, and then they just lose a
Yeah,
game they
I-
had no business losing.
Yeah, that's the Pac-12.
So
Yeah.
I am going to go. My sipping whiskey is Texas A&M for a few reasons. Obviously, they lose again to Mississippi State after losing a tough one the week before, and you gave Jimbo Fisher this huge raise and extension on his who was going to buy him out of that for the 7 years he had remaining on it. But you're like, hey, let's go ahead and make it like another 20 years that you have on us. But why? But anyways, you're stuck in that for the next decade or however long he's got left on it. And then another reason, I don't know if you saw it, I think Tyler saw it as well. The pep rally almost they had at Kyle Field before the Mississippi State game. Did you see this?
No, I did not.
It's a guy walking around in overalls on a microphone just talking to fans, and it is one of the most cringe things you
Oh, I
ever
bet.
see in your life.
I bet,
It's
yeah.
just some frat boy from Texas A&M just trying to
Oh, I
pep
bet it was
up
horrible.
the field, and it is. Everybody was roasting him on Twitter.
secondhand
and
embarrassment. You
it's
could
one of
pass
those where
away
you
from it,
don't
I'm
want to
sure.
watch, but you have to. It's like a train wreck.
You can't stop
You
watching.
can't stop.
Yeah.
So that is why, Texas A&M had to lose recruits just from that video. There is just saw that video. I was like, ugh, I don't want to go there.
And it does not get much better for Texas A&M because obviously they play Alabama this week, so they have little time to kind of lick the wounds away from what
Right.
they suffered from that Mississippi State game. So,
Right.
Speaking of Alabama, how about the popcorn being popped this week, or little of not being popped this weekend?
Yeah, there you go.
Alabama takes care of Ole Miss 42-21. I'm not sure any of us quite saw the game going like it is.
Yeah.
Or like it did. But Stephen, what went wrong for Ole Miss in this game, or what just couldn't happen for them?
Well, I think on that first drive, it was really just a game changer. I mean, they went for it, I think 3 or 4 times on fourth down. I can't remember correctly.
It was 3 times.
Three
They
times. They
converted
got
it
the
twice.
first 2,
Yeah,
and
they
so it
converted
just felt like
twice.
they were going to keep going for fourth downs for forever. And then obviously they just missed the last one when they really needed it right at the goal line there. I mean, Alabama's defense really stepped up. They really seemed to cover their assignments correctly. Toa was everywhere on the field. So it felt like Ole Miss just couldn't get they couldn't get past those fourth downs when they needed to. They got
Right.
the ones that didn't, I guess, really matter. And then they took risks that if you go back and you look at it, you're like, okay, you're playing Alabama. You got to take these risks because if you don't, you're not going to win the game that way. I think Matt Corral still had as good of a game as he could hope for, really. I mean, obviously you want to win and you want to score more touchdowns, but
Yeah. Most of that came in the second half.
yeah, most of it
obviously.
came in the second
Some
half,
little
kind of
too
garbage
late.
time.
Yeah, a little too
But
late. Yeah.
Alabama really put it on them. Their offense is exactly what I think everybody thinks it is. Their defense has stepped up. I think they've kind of answered the bell, and I think Bama just needs that just little bit of boost, maybe just the other team kind of trash talking before the game just to get them really motivated. I think that's all Bama really needs to really say, all right, you think we're not good at defense? You think this is going to be good at shutout?
Because the players listen. For
Exactly,
sure, when they hear all
exactly.
that
They
talk
need the
and chatter,
bulletin.
yeah.
I think Alabama, with the position they're in, probably Georgia's the same way. Probably Ohio State's a little bit of the same way. With the position they're in, they just need 1 or 2 things to be like, all right, I need to get motivated for this game. And
As
if
if
you
they need
motivate
more
them,
motivation.
exactly,
They're already such a good football team. They
exactly.
really
But if
need
you
more
motivate them a
motivation.
little bit,
Yeah.
it's just they kind of say,
The
all right,
emotional aspect
yeah,
now
you think
starts getting to
it's
your
going to go
favor,
your
so,
way.
yeah.
Let's show you how it's really going to go. So I think Alabama just really impressed everybody this weekend because
Just a better football team.
yeah, Ole
overall,
Miss is. I
for
think
sure.
they were number 1 ranked offense going in, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
this was a
so-
team that was averaging over 500 yards of offense,
And-
averaging over 50 points a game.
Yeah, and you mentioned
this
it
was-
before, just kind of how you're iffy on Ole Miss because they didn't really play good defenses or anything like that. But when they play a good defense, we'll see this weekend with Arkansas. Arkansas does have a
Again,
pretty good
yeah, so
defense.
they have-
Didn't look good last week, but they play a pretty good defense, so we'll get a little bit better look. What did you see in that game that kind of maybe changed your mind about Alabama or Ole Miss?
I don't think that anything really changed my mind. I just because like you pointed to, that was my big question mark for Ole Miss was your level of competition says a lot about your team. And Alabama's successes came against, whether you believe Miami's a good football team or not, it came against Miami, it came against Florida. Those are 2 more proven teams than what Ole Miss has played. And when you're not battle tested and you go into a game and you're expecting your offense to put up points in production and whatnot, and then what happens when you aren't, or when you're not able to do that? and you can't. What happens when your defense is actually forced to be on the field and have Brian Robinson run the ball 36 times for 171
I didn't even mention
yards?
Brian Robinson. He was
Nasty. I mean,
through.
and that was the big question mark. Everybody was like, how improve will Ole Miss defense? Did it look improved at all on Saturday?
Yeah,
not really at all. So I mean, they
in fairness to them, I mean, they're going up against arguably the best offense in the country.
I would agree.
But you would think going up against their own offense in practice would get them prepared for that. But I guess Alabama's all athletes just kind of, and Alabama's run game.
Right.
That was, to mention Brian Robinson. I mean, I just completely passed over
Alabama
that.
is probably the most balanced team in all of college football. I think
Offensively.
I think offensively, yes. Well,
Yes,
I
yes.
actually think most balanced. Period, because I think
Georgia's
they have
defense.
but no, this is what I'm saying though. Georgia has a really great defense, but does their offense equal how great their defense is? I think Alabama's offense is just great, and then their defense is just great enough. They make situational stops. They're not dominating like Georgia's defense is. They're not going to just dominate you physically, but I think Alabama's situationally wise is just. They're great on defense.
They are great. I mean, they're better on defense probably this year than they were last year, and obviously they keep working out kinks and getting better on offense. Obviously the run game comes together this week. You see it for the first time really come together, I guess, this week and show you that hey, we can't only just throw the ball, we can also pound the rock and just drain the life out of you throughout the whole game.
They're very able to play whatever kind of style they want to. If they want to play control the clock, kind of run the football a lot, they'll do that. Or they can get into shootouts. They can score a lot of points and win shootouts too.
It's got to be devastating.
A very adaptable team.
It's got to be devastating for any team going against Alabama, and you're like, okay, they're going to throw the ball. We got to watch out for that big play, and then all of a sudden they just run the ball on you 32 times and they get 176 yards. And what do you have? 4 touchdowns?
Yes.
I mean that's got to be devastating to be like, all right, we got to be able to cover, and then they're just going to run up the middle. So the only difference is that Georgia's defense is just so elite. Did you see their first team hasn't given up a touchdown? First team defense.
I've seen that. I did see that stat.
It's 5 weeks, Cole. We've been through 5 weeks of football.
It's great.
Like even when you play
great.
a bad team, like just to what?
It's still a college football team at the end of the day.
That's what I'm saying.
Even as bad as they are, or no matter what team they are, they're still
Clemson hasn't looked good, but
team.
Clemson has the athletes. You know,
Yes.
it's not like Arkansas has been overachieving
They're
all
still
year.
an
and they
SEC football team.
I tell
right.
It's that stat blew. I mean, it just blew
It blows
my
you
mind.
away. It does. But Alabama wins the game, and then Lane Kiffin after the game doubles down on the decision to go for all the fourth downs. He said, no matter if Alabama's going to score, whether you punt it to them or if you go for it and give it right back to them, they're going to score.
Yeah,
which shows how much faith he had in that Ole Miss defense. I don't think he had.
I don't blame
Alabama,
Lane Kiffin for going for the fourth downs because again, I think you're playing a better team athletically, or maybe just. I don't know. You're playing a little bit better team, yeah, and so you got to take risks. If you're going to win the game, take risks. Go for it on fourth down. I have no problem with that. Yeah. It's just you missed them when you really needed them. You got some, but you just when you
that one on your side of the field was kind of that was a little risky.
But your momentum is all Alabama. So if you get that, you at least push them, keep their defense on the field, give your defense a little bit bigger break.
But now,
if you hit that first one though, that third one on that first drive, that obviously changes the game a little bit. Alabama's defense stepped up when it needed to. So.
But I don't know. Now Ole Miss did when they were down 14-0. They did actually force a punt early in that first half.
They did.
I know that.
And Ole Miss, to their credit, they moved the ball. They did not just. They weren't stagnant. They did not get past the 50-yard line. They just Alabama played the bend don't break defense, and that's all you need to do when they're going to go for it on fourth down every time. That's all you got to do. So going off to the other team in Alabama that has a big win in their own right. Auburn, Tyler mentioned it earlier. They go into Death Valley, and for the first time in 22 years, they beat LSU in Death Valley. Bo Nix starts the game. I think TJ Finley came in on the third drive. It was kind of a scripted thing.
It was
going into it, but then Bo Nix finishes out the game. Obviously, he has that Sports Center top 10 play where he's just running around in the backyard looking for
Johnny
something.
Manziel moment.
Exactly. And I think Auburn fans, it's you get the good and the bad with Bo Nix. You get those type of plays where he's athletic enough to keep it moving to do something crazy, but at the same time, you don't want him to have to do that to be able to make a good play, So you get the good and the bad with Bo Nix, but Auburn obviously huge win, big win for them, especially Bo Nix playing on the road, which we talked about I think last week of how bad he is on the road.
Has not been great. No.
What did you take away? Now let me ask you this, is this more of like LSU, because we actually last week we were talking about LSU. Maybe they're better than we thought they were. Is this more of like they are where we had them, or is this okay? Maybe Auburn can build off of this and play hard against Georgia next week.
Here's the thing: I still feel the same way about LSU that I did last week, because the team that showed up on Saturday was the same team they've been for weeks now. They're able to throw the ball with Max Johnson, but they just cannot run the football. Yeah. There is no ground game at all for LSU right now, and there's nothing to counter. When Auburn was dropping their guys back, they trusted their front seven to get pressure. They didn't bring blitzes. They didn't feel like they had to load the box to stop the run. They dropped everybody back in coverage and said, if you're going to beat us, Max Johnson's going to beat us. And for most of the game, LSU, this was a very weird game because LSU felt like they were in control of this game for most of the first few quarters. Yeah. And then Auburn just comes back in the second half, and like you said, Bo Nix was the guy.
Yeah.
And if this solidifies anything going forward, he is the guy. You're going to ride with him.
I mean, you have
rest
after
of the season,
so like it was
no
kind
matter
of
what.
It was kind of similar to the TJ Finley thing, winning that Georgia State game late. You feel like you almost have to put him in the game at some point against LSU because he wins the game, right? This kind of gives you more. It's kind of goes back to the swing the pendulum the other way. Bo Nix makes those plays. You're going to have to play him.
He is more athletic and able to make those plays. Like you said, the Sports Center top play. He's able to make that. TJ Finley doesn't give you that option.
Yeah,
Bo does.
He's not that. Which, to his credit, the Georgia State play, he was sacked.
He was.
He got out of it.
Let's not make no bones about it. LSU and Georgia State, not the same type of team.
And playing in Death Valley and then
Valley
at
as
home,
well. Oh my goodness, I mean,
completely
that's
different.
Oh yeah.
So let me just branch off of that real quick. Does this give you a little bit more hope for at least Auburn maybe to cover against Georgia or to play them tougher? Does this change your mind at all against Auburn of what you thought?
Nothing Auburn does at this point is going to surprise me. I will say this because I was very shocked at how they played. I thought this was going to be a very deflated Auburn team on Saturday night against LSU. They came out, played very well. But I don't think my opinion is going to be changed based on what happens against Georgia because Georgia's just so good. Auburn is going to be the team that they are, and Georgia's going to be the team they are, which is great.
Yeah.
So I'm not really going to form an opinion off Auburn from this weekend because I think they're just facing a juggernaut that's just you're going to just destroy everybody in front of them. But I think we'll see what happens with Auburn as they start to play the Mississippi States and the Arkansas. The Arkansas and the Ole Miss. To see how they fare in those games, and if they can continue to win against these games where you're kind of on an even playing field. Because let's face it, Saturday night, LSU and Auburn about the same team.
Yeah,
they have about the same athletes and they're about the same type of team. And Auburn found a way to win.
Right.
So,
Tyler, do you have any takeaways from the Auburn LSU game?
I definitely think this is a product of LSU not looking as good versus Auburn looking good. I think Max Johnson, he just doesn't impress me, guys, to be honest with you. And I think they had a lot of missed opportunities. They started out hot. Started out hot in the first half, and then they kind of just faded away there in the second half. So I think it's definitely more of a product of LSU kind of struggling versus Auburn succeeding.
I will say this. This does give me hope for Auburn that they are going to be more competitive in some of these games and be put in a position where they can win more of these games. So whereas with a couple of weeks ago we were sitting here saying, oh man, maybe a 6-7 win season.
Well, the Georgia
definitely
State
gives you more hope.
To say that Georgia State win just makes you think they're really in trouble kind of thing. And this to your point, it does give you more hope. So we'll go to the final team in Alabama that we're going to talk about, UAB. They suffer a very, very tough loss in the home opener. Obviously, it was a huge game. It was close to max capacity at the new stadium. The fans really came and showed out. It's tough playing it's a great thing that you're playing such a tough game in your first home game because that really gets the crowd going, gets everybody pumped for the new stadium. But obviously you don't want to be playing an NFL prospect and a quarterback coming up. And I saw before this week that he was number 1 quarterback on some people's draft boards coming out, Malik Willis.
Wow.
And UAB just blows a couple opportunities early. They miss a touchdown. They have a couple of calls just go their way early, and that really shifts the momentum against them early on in the game, and they could just never get it back. I believe the final score was 36-12. Is that right?
Yeah, it was
is that
36-12. Yeah.
Yeah, and UAB only scores that touchdown late in the fourth quarter. So really, really tough. I know a lot of weight was on.
And guys, we're getting a phone call.
All right, yeah, go for it.
You're on Under Review. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hey.
Oh,
This is Austin Weiser coming into the show. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. You're acting like you don't know me, Tankster.
This is my friend Austin, but we got to treat every caller as the same.
yeah, we got to treat all the callers alike, man.
How's it going, Austin?
Well, I'm good. I was gonna thank you guys for getting me out of putting up Halloween decorations, but I
Hey.
don't know about that. I don't really feel special now.
Okay.
Hey, it's about that time of year now, Austin, so you
Yeah.
can't complain too much. It's that time of year. It's spooky season. Come on now.
Spooktober,
It
man.
is. Yeah,
What's
that's
it-
how entertaining my life is now.
There you go.
So what
Halloween
you-
decorations.
So what you got for us, Austin?
Oh man, I was just calling to see just talk about some college football here. You guys like anything this weekend?
You talking about any games, like what our favorite games are?
College football, yes.
Yes. Okay. Our favorite games. I have been so bad with college football. It's not even funny. NFL and college football. It's almost like if you just pick the opposite pick, you would be like 75% or something like that. So that's more of a Tyler or Cole question. Cole, you got any favorite games?
You know, Austin, a game that I think is going to be a big determiner for the playoff picture and a kind of a big game this week, and the game we've been kind of keeping our eye out for is Iowa and Penn State. I think that's your biggest game of the week. I'm not sure how Vegas has that lined up. I'm pretty sure that
It's
Iowa's
minus
a
1.5.
favorite. I'm sure in that game.
Iowa minus 1.5.
Austin, who do you have for that game?
That's a tough one, the primetime game. I mean, part of me wants to take Penn State in this one. A lot of the money is on Iowa. I mean, there's going to come a week where Iowa doesn't cause 8 turnovers.
That's
each
true.
game.
That's true.
They have their turnover luck is just unbelievable right now, but I'm not going to discredit them for that. They're a really good football team. I just don't really know if this offense can sustain itself and actually sustaining drives because, all they do is just kind of thrive off turnovers and short fields. But
You're absolutely right.
we'll see. I think this is a true test for them. Penn State's coming into Iowa, so
it's a tough
we'll
game.
see what happens.
It's a tough game. It'll obviously decide a lot in the Big Ten. Austin, I got a couple for you. You can't go wrong with Oklahoma, Texas over. I don't think you can ever feel bad about that pick, I think that, no matter what the number is, it could be 85. You're like, I should probably take the over in that. The over right now, I think, is 63.5. I still don't feel bad taking that over just because it's Texas, Oklahoma. You never know what's going to happen. It's
The Alabama Ole Miss over-under was 79 this weekend.
Yeah,
so,
that was crazy high.
I think that's a little too high for that game.
Right.
But,
And then you obviously don't lose much money betting Alabama with the spread. You just don't. Like even
what is it,
if
17.5 right now for
it's
Texas
18,
A&M?
it just went up.
Just
So
went
it's
to
18. So you don't lose much money betting Alabama with the spread. So those would be my two picks that I like. And I honestly would lean Auburn to cover against Georgia as well. But those are
a little sneak peek into our Auburn Georgia
sneak peek
preview
over
for
there.
what
But those
Steven
are
feels
those
like,
are
but hey.
those would be my picks for the weekend.
Well, Austin, we appreciate you calling in, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, good luck with
We'll
your
see. It's
your
gonna-
decorations, man.
Yeah, good luck with decorating for
thank
spooky
you.
season, man.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Spooktober.
I think I'm going to be summoned back out there, so I appreciate you
Oh,
guys.
hey,
Yeah,
hey,
man.
hey, don't keep her waiting now.
Well, hopefully she's done by now, but we'll see. You guys have a good rest of your show.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Good luck to you, Austin.
Appreciate the call. But yeah, going back into the UAB game, Bill Clark, he was carrying a lot on his shoulders. This has been something UAB had been waiting for a really long time. So I know that loss really, really hurt him. He was hoping for better results, but hopefully UAB can bounce back. Were you able to watch this game, and do you have any thoughts?
I was. And I think I was really surprised at how the game turned out in the second half. The first half, UAB obviously keeps it close, and it was a low-scoring affair. Was it 3-3 at halftime?
I believe so. I believe so.
So Malik Willis, obviously, you talked about it. He's a high NFL prospect, and he played like it on Saturday.
Yeah.
He was. What do you account for? I think like 544 yards of total offense.
I think they had over 600 yards. I know.
I mean, it was something crazy that he put up. I mean, it was 3 total touchdowns for him, and he had great. I'm just really disappointed in UAB at how the quarterback play has really affected them, especially in the second half. I mean, it just was very disappointing to see Dylan Hopkins the way he played in the second half. And in the first half, there were some promising drives from UAB where they actually came, of course, within scoring distance, and then they actually got in the end zone, but they got called back for a blindside block
my
and an
God, that
unsportsmanlike penalty.
The blindside block call was so bad.
I'm not that very questionable call. So that takes 6 points off the board for UAB. So and they had a couple of other drives where they stalled on fourth down. So I mean, UAB had their chances, but in the second half they were just really abysmal on offense. They could not move the football consistently, and I think that's the real thing for UAB is with Coach Clark teams, you're going to play really good defense. You're going to run the football, but the real determining factor for UAB moving forward is the quarterback play. If you get good quarterback play, you win.
Yeah.
If you don't, you risk the chance of losing. And they were just playing a team that was maybe a little bit better than them on
Yeah.
Saturday. And
Liberty
so
was a little bit. Liberty's a little bit better team.
and then when you play that poorly against a team that's probably better than you, that's what the score's going to look like.
Right.
So-
Like I said, they had a couple of calls not go their way, and it really shifted momentum, I think. And obviously, you end the half, and you're the first team to score. You should have scored. I think it was on like the next drive. They had a dropped touchdown, or I believe
you
so.
had a bunch of missed opportunities. in
Yeah,
that game,
just
for sure.
missed opportunities, I think, is what really killed them. And then once they couldn't get that momentum going their way with a little bit better team in Liberty, that really hurts, going the rest
I
of the
agree with
way.
you completely.
And Liberty, I think, just outlasted them and then just kind of put their offense on them, what they were supposed to do. And I think Malik Willis did have over 500
They have a
yards.
chance to
correct.
get back on track, though, this week against Florida Atlantic. I
They
think
do.
UAB will have a much better time trying to, kind of heal from that loss against Liberty.
Yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity to get their first home win against FAU this weekend. I don't even think they're favored by that much, though. I think it's
They're not.
what is it, like?
It was the shocker. I mean, I think it was almost like a pick'em game.
It's
but
like 1.5 or something like that. But
it's not much. But I mean, UAB, I would think, is the better football team of the two teams. But I mean, obviously Vegas doesn't think by much.
yeah, it's definitely not much. I'm trying to see if I can find it real quick. It is -4. Okay, it's more than I thought. -4.
-4. So.
But hey, we all got the pick wrong. I think we all picked UAB with emotional emotions on our side. We did.
And I think that in the first half, they showed that emotions of playing off it and whatnot and trying to keep the game close. But I think in the second half, it just settled in. And
Man, if they could have gotten one of those touchdowns in the first half, though, or maybe early in the third quarter, I think that would really have shifted the game. Obviously
you're
they
right.
lose by more than a touchdown, but that, as we know in college football, so much comes from momentum. And so if you can just get that one shift, and with that all that emotion and pressure on your side, if you can get that one shift, I think that really alters the game. But
I agree with you.
It wasn't their
Yeah.
game, so we move on to FAU, and luckily it's not a conference game or anything like that, so they can still keep their conference
Absolutely.
streak alive.
Yep.
So we move on to another big game this weekend. Not a team from Alabama, believe it or not. We won't all talk about teams from Alabama. Cincinnati, they answer their call. The biggest non-Power 5 game for any team pretty much ever. Definitely the biggest game in Cincinnati's history. They answer the call, and then they go in and beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. What does this tell you about the playoff? Are they going to make the playoff? Is it still going to go to a one-loss? If they go undefeated, is it still going to go to a one-loss non-Power 5 or a Power 5? What do you see going here?
Well, Cincinnati obviously is one of those teams that, they've been looking for the college football playoff the last couple of seasons. And they, of course, last year they didn't have the schedule. This year had two opportunities with the game at Indiana and at Notre Dame, obviously. And like you said, they did answer that call, and they went out there and they won. And the score was not, the game was not as close as what the score shows.
No. Cincinnati
Cincinnati had a
dominated this game.
17-0 lead at halftime. I mean, so I think that they're going to be favored in every game moving forward. They have pretty much, I think, on the ESPN Power Index, they have like a 90% chance to win every game for the rest of their schedule.
Well, the rest of their schedule isn't that great.
Exactly. So you've won your beef schedule. So now all you have to do is pretty much win the games in front of you. I don't even think Cincinnati has to win convincingly the rest of the way forward. I think if
SMU
you
is their toughest game left.
Right.
And that's at the end of the
Yeah,
year.
I would say SMU or UCF.
But if you just go out there and win the games, if you're Cincinnati, I think they're going to put you in. This is the perfect year, I think,
It is a perfect year, but
because of so many teams falling from the top, is what I'm trying to say.
But let's say so Georgia and Alabama go undefeated, right, the rest of the way. So one
Okay.
of them is going to lose the SEC championship. I still think that team still goes to the playoff. I think either one who loses the SEC championship, they go undefeated.
Yeah, you could do that.
They
yeah.
they
You
go.
could
So
say
that's
that.
two SEC teams.
Right.
If Penn
Right.
State or Iowa goes undefeated, they're going with the Big Ten championship win. But
Right.
if
And
Ohio
see,
State
and the
Ohio
beauty of the
State
Big
can
Ten,
win.
and the beauty of the Big Ten is that they're going to work themselves out. I mean, everybody's going to have to play each other.
Right, correct. But let's say, Ohio State wins the championship with one loss. They're going to go. And then you still have the Big 12. Oklahoma can still go undefeated. I don't see it happening, but I'm just saying they can. There's four teams right there for you, Cole.
I honestly think looking at Cincinnati's schedule and the strength of their schedule, I think you take a one-loss team in there, think of like an Oklahoma or a one-loss Big Ten team, and I think you put them in over Cincinnati.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Because those Big Ten teams are playing Big Ten teams every week. They're not playing, they're not playing Temple and Tulane and Tulsa and USF every week.
So you're telling me? So let me. I'll play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that everything goes as grain, Alabama or Georgia, depending on who wins, and when they went out and they have one loss and it's just to each other.
Yep.
So you're saying those two are in.
Yeah.
So
you would
you're
agree in this devil's advocate? Would you agree?
No,
Okay.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
But you're telling me now that Oklahoma runs the table.
So let's say Texas beats Oklahoma and then they only have one loss. They win the Big 12. They go.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I think Texas goes.
You think Texas would go?
If it's one, let's say a one-loss Big 12 winner. Texas, their only loss will be Arkansas.
Hold on, Stephen. You're proposing to me that if Texas runs the table,
yeah, and they win the Big 12 championship
with that awful loss to Arkansas,
it was a bad.
Still get into there with a undefeated Cincinnati. No, there's no way.
They play a harder schedule.
Way.
That's just the thing is they play like I would love to see Cincinnati go and just get curb stomped by whoever's the 1 seed, but I would still love to see Cincinnati go. I just don't think there's any way with the precedence that the playoff committee. Now, if it's up to me, Cincinnati goes.
Right.
But I'm saying the precedence that the playoff committee has set with the UCF year and whatever else, they just value not a Power 5 schedule so much more than non-Power 5. Even with Cincinnati scheduling Indiana and Notre Dame, which is like one of the perfect, times to do it and win out this year, there's just no way a one loss.
My question is though, Tyler, you were proposing this. You said are you proposing that there's two one-loss Big Ten teams?
Yeah, if you have two, one.
Let's do this. Let's just throw the Big 12 out.
Okay.
I don't.
Big 12, Pac-12 out. ACC
let's just throw
out.
the Big 12 out and the Pac-12 and the ACC. Let's just talk about we got the SEC teams, and then we've got the Big Ten, and then we're trying to find a place for Cincinnati to fit.
Okay, so let's say Penn State wins against Iowa this weekend. They play Ohio State later. They lose to Ohio State
in the Big Ten championship.
they play in the regular season.
That's right. They're playing. Yeah.
Ohio State then would play in the Big Ten championship,
and then
they
win.
win. You don't think Penn State goes over Cincinnati?
Now, in that case, I actually do think Penn State might go.
That would be too big.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy. Two Big Ten, two SEC.
I'm not gonna lie. I could actually see that.
But that's what I'm saying. So, but do you see what I'm saying? Though there's a lot of scenarios that don't go Cincinnati's way. Now,
right.
If everything plays out perfect, and maybe you get two losses in both conferences, maybe Oklahoma loses to Texas and then loses in the Big 12 championship.
That is probably the biggest factor if Cincinnati gets in is if Oklahoma does lose.
Yeah, obviously Clemson.
I think Cincinnati is big Longhorns fans this
We got a
weekend.
call
huge.
coming in, guys.
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's our favorite caller, Logan from Odenville. What's going on, man?
Oh, Jeff might have something to say about that.
How's it going, man? How you doing?
Good, guys. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. How you doing after that tough loss?
I don't want to reflect on that, to be honest.
Did you eat any popcorn this weekend?
I had my popcorn ready and it got burnt.
There we go.
It got burnt. Nice.
But really, honestly, I wanted to kind of throw a game at you guys, see what y'all thought about it. Interesting game, in my opinion, is Kentucky LSU.
Yeah.
I think LSU showed vulnerability last week. Honestly, I think Kentucky's the second best team in the East, in my opinion.
Kentucky has looked really good. Obviously, they come off that big win against Florida this weekend, and their defense is really good. Their offense has not really done anything that's impressed me at all. I think it'll be a big game for Kentucky to keep winning. Obviously, this is a great season so far for Kentucky, one of their best ever. It's at home. I mean,
Logan, I will tell you this. The reason why I think that Kentucky's a little bit of fool's gold this weekend against LSU is because, did you know this? They have, out of 4 or 5 games this year, they have lost the turnover margin in every game. And they were even against Florida last weekend. They had a turnover, and until Florida turned the ball over, they were actually losing that one as well. So they have not won the turnover margin at all this year, and I think that's kind of going to catch up to them at some point.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think last week against Florida, if Florida would have played like they did against Alabama, I think it may have been a little bit different. But I think Kentucky caught them on a bad note. But I don't know, guys. I want to see what you thought about that game, and also I want to see what y'all thought about the over-under for Arkansas Ole Miss. I just checked, it's 66. I would take the under on that one.
I would take the under as well. Arkansas likes to run the ball. Obviously, Ole Miss is going to come out shooting, but Arkansas likes to run the ball. I think they're going to try and slow the game down a little bit.
I think so, too.
So I would definitely take the under in that as well.
I think Arkansas is kind of going to copy the formula that Alabama had this last weekend. They're going to try and keep the ball away from Ole Miss as much as possible, and like you said, keep the ball on the ground. So I could definitely see this being a.
Hey, the last time I took the under, it went over by like 40 points. So I don't know if you would want to back me up on that.
Well, I'll be honest, guys. I was hoping y'all forgot about my comment last week. So So, I'm
Logan,
having-
we can't forget about our favorite caller, man. We would never forget about a comment from you, man.
I'll be honest, you guys are the only sports talk show I listen to now. So
There we go, baby.
I love that.
you have all my efforts. So
I love it. I love it.
Logan, we appreciate the call, my friend.
y'all stay after it.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. All right, so where were we? Okay, we said possibly two Big Ten, two SEC teams. That would be absolutely
Unlikely,
insane.
but I mean, everything's going to kind of work themselves out. It's going to
let's
shake
just say
out,
this:
of
for
course.
Cincinnati, everything has to go perfect.
It does. It does. Absolutely.
And I think
but
you
at
almost
least put
need-
yourself in position.
You've done it.
where when
Cincinnati,
that chaos happens, you can be considered.
yes, Cincinnati
for,
owns.
for real this time.
Yeah, Cincinnati can do everything they can do. It's obviously up to everything else. They need some chaos though. Is all I'm saying.
They do.
We already touched on it, so I'll just kind of skip past it. Pac-12's done for. Oregon loses a close one in overtime to Stanford, so they're out. ACC's
Maybe.
out.
Maybe.
They could
again.
They could
because
win.
You just said it.
and I did say that if they win
if
out,
chaos happens and Oregon runs the table, they could still find a
They
way.
could
The
run the
schedule's
table.
not great.
They could run
but
the
they
table.
could still find a way to put themselves back in position to try and get back
do they
to the
still have a
playoffs.
chance to play in the? They still have a chance to play in the Pac-12
Absolutely,
championship, right?
because UCLA
Yeah,
has
that's what I
fallen
say, okay.
apart, and
Well,
Arizona
the
State
problem-
apparently has some kind of problems with recruiting issues.
The problem
and
with the
COVID
problem with the
policy.
Pac-12 though is they haven't looked good other than
No,
Oregon,
they
so it
haven't,
just
no.
it hurts that it's like the ACC, where it was like Clemson needed to win out, and then even then it was kind of like, you
Yeah.
still don't have a good schedule.
Right.
Same thing for the Pac-12. They're kind
It's
of
not
beating
good.
they're beating
It's
each
not
other
good.
up, so Oregon I think probably needs a little help even going undefeated the rest of the way, but we'll see. I think they're done for. And then quick SEC wrap up. We just talked about Kentucky beating Florida. I don't think we need to touch on that again. Kentucky's defense came out firing. Florida just looked flat all over. They really didn't help themselves out any. And then to your point, Kentucky finally at least evens the turnover battle. So great call on your part there. A&M loses again. Mississippi State on the come up. A&M just on the fall down.
Watching that game, Will Rogers played great. I will say that. So I think this was just a really big win for Mississippi State. Mike Leach and his staff, they just called a great game. I think this is just a huge win for them. I mean, Texas A&M is the same team they've been all season long.
Yeah.
I mean, cannot generate any kind of offense.
Their offense is so bad.
I don't see that changing at all against Alabama this week either. We'll talk about that game coming up. But I mean, this is more about the fact that Mississippi State just played a great game. They came out with a game plan and they only had how many yards rushing? I can't even remember how. It was something like
Probably not good.
30 yards rushing. And they still won a game where Will Rogers threw it 59 times on Saturday.
I mean, it's a Mike Leach offense. It's a Mike Leach
It
offense.
just still blows me away when I see those numbers. I know we keep saying it's the air raid, it's Mike Leach, but it just blows you away every time you see
59
those
times
stats.
they threw it, and then they ran for 30 yards. You're correct.
It's just crazy to think about that you can win a football game with those kind of numbers, but Mississippi State with those short intermediate passing, it's almost like they're running the football when they do those little short pass patterns.
Right.
But Texas A&M, again, that is the big storyline for this football season, I think, or one of, is just the inability for them to be able to consistently move the ball. They have not been able to do it all season long.
Yeah, and then the last game, we'll just touch on it really quick because it was such a beat down. I think everybody was looking forward to it. Game days there and everything like that. Arkansas just gets curb stomped by Georgia.
Just ugly game.
I think Arkansas just couldn't get any kind of.
What did I say last week?
You did. I did. And to your credit,
What'd I say?
To your credit, I did not bet that game because I was like, I feel like Vegas knows more than I do, which they always do. But I'm like, I don't like it. So I bet Michigan instead, and I won that game. But I did not.
It was boys versus men on Saturday.
There was like
Arkansas
5
played
minutes
Georgia.
before the game. I'm like, I really want to bet it. I really want to bet it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I didn't do it. Arkansas couldn't get any kind of field position starting off the game. And I think that really killed them throughout. Georgia's defense is so good.
It is
They're
really
just
good.
so fast. I mean,
It is
they're
really
everywhere. Good. So let's move on to the NFL, wrapping up our college football talk. And we're going to start with your team, Tyler. So I'm going to get your take on this real quick. They finally utilize Fields, the Bears. They seem to finally just say, hey, we have Justin Fields back there at quarterback. Let's actually use him a little bit. What do you take away from that, considering this was against just the Detroit Lions?
No, I think Justin Fields played a great game. The funniest thing after the game, what surprised me, was what Matt Nagy said. He said, I think we're going back to Andy Dalton. And then later in this week, yesterday, it was like, no, we're actually going to go with Justin
we're going to stick
Fields.
with Justin Fields.
So I think that was a lot of heat on Matt Nagy to start Justin Fields. And
Just a little bit. Just a little heat.
I saw a thread of tweets, Tyler, from Adam Schefter, and it was like a thread of Matt Nagy talking about the quarterback, and then there's one time where he's like, all 3 quarterbacks are in consideration. We're going to start Andy Dalton. We want to see him in the regular season. When Andy's healthy, he's our starting quarterback. Andy Dalton's still going to be our starting quarterback next week. Justin Fields is going to be our starter. It was like 16 tweets of like Matt Nagy
There's just
saying
no continuity with
Matt
what he
Nagy
says
saying
at all.
it's not
None.
Justin Fields, and then finally Justin Fields. And last thing, how do you feel about losing David Montgomery for 4 weeks, 5 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's 4. I think he's listed as 4 to 5 weeks, but that's huge. That's
Yeah,
big.
that's a big loss. That's a big
because
loss.
David Montgomery's been doing great this season. He's been their workhorse on that offense. I mean, to be honest, he had 23 rushes on. I think he had about 150 yards.
He had 2 touchdowns, I know.
No, he eclipsed 100 yards. So I think it was 103 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
He
he
is
played
a
a great
beast.
game,
He
and
is.
the Bears have really been able to kind of go back in time a little bit and get that run game going. That's really been a help to their offense. So
Yeah,
that's
I
a
agree.
huge loss.
And going back to your previous statement, I think Justin Fields made 3 throws that Andy Dalton hasn't made in his entire career.
That one to Darnell Mooney, like the in the breadbasket throw, over the opposite shoulder. That was a beautiful moon ball
So
right there. That was a
was.
Russell Wilson-esque moon ball right there.
And that's what you give. Justin Fields gives you versatility on the offensive side of the ball. He's almost like a chess piece. You can move him around. He can run. He can throw on the run. Play actions there, and the run game's there. And you got to watch out for him because obviously, like I just mentioned, he can run. So the read option is also a threat.
Yeah.
So I think he gives you something that Andy Dalton doesn't.
Definitely.
There's no doubt.
Another layer.
I don't think that there was anybody that doubted that. I think it was just the development of Justin Fields in that offense was the real question mark. Was we were going to see how he developed and how he kind of progresses being the leader of that football team. Because now you are the face of the Chicago Bears. When you become the quarterback for a franchise, you are now the face. How does Justin Fields handle that moving forward now that you are clearly the starter?
Yeah.
Your head coach is saying you're our guy moving forward. How does he handle that kind of pressure moving forward? We're going to find out. They go to Vegas to play the Raiders.
We
this
will.
week.
It'll be a good game. It'll
we'll
be a good
see.
game. So let's move on to another new quarterback and another team that has a chess piece that they use at quarterback. We'll move on to the Saints. And Cole, I think you texted us this, and I kind of agree. The Saints are an enigma. They play a good game.
They are.
Maybe they just
are.
play down to the competition. I don't know. They play a good game here and there, and you're like, okay, maybe we got something.
They are the most complicated team to figure out. I cannot quite figure out because it's like they want to be a playoff team, and then some weeks they're like, nah, don't want to be a playoff team. They had an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter against the Giants and just blew it.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, Daniel Jones just outplayed Jameis Winston.
Daniel Jones looked. That was one of the first games I remember that I'm like, is Daniel Jones good?
Yeah, no, he is definitely good. And if the New York coaching staff put a little bit more focus on allowing him to have these kind of games more often, of course, it helps when Saquon.
As I say,
Barkley
you finally have Saquon doing something. Yeah,
doing
that definitely
Saquon
helps.
things.
Yeah.
But another thing is the Saints just don't have anybody downfield to make plays as receivers.
You need Michael Thomas
You have
back.
no Michael
You
Thomas,
need
no
Michael
Traquan
Thomas.
Smith. You have none of those guys. And until the bye week happens after the Washington game this week, you won't have them. So
Right.
you definitely need those guys back. You had, of course, Eric McCoy and your all-pro left tackle Taron Armstead were both out as well. So, I mean, you're missing half your offensive line. You still got the guys on defense that are missing. So the Saints just aren't healthy right now. They really need to get to this bye week. The Washington game this week, if you can get a win somehow against that team and then get to the bye week and get healthy, you're in good shape.
Well, I'm
So
relying on you
that's-
next week. I'm just going to keep texting you and be like, hey, Saints, are they good this week or not?
I
Do you know?
I
Can you
think
see the future and be like, all right, they're going to be good this week and then not? Because if so, we need to start using you.
I think what it is, the Saints are just one of those middle of the road teams. It's like they're not great, but they're not bad.
Yep.
They're good enough to win some games, but they're also bad if they can lose to the 0-4 Giants.
That's
So,
a great transition into my team that's stuck in mediocrity. The Falcons. They are stuck in not good, but not terrible. So they're like a tier below, not great, not bad. They're just like not good, but not terrible, kind of somewhere in there. They lose another in the most Falcons way possible on
most Falcons way
a J.D.
possible.
McKissick jumping into the end zone 5 yards out of bounds, but he's somehow inbounds still, whatever. And did you see the Chris Berman call on this, by the way?
No, I did not. When he goes,
said,
whoop, I love
It was
that, dude.
like-
That's my favorite.
He built it up
love-
so much for that.
I
but
love Swami, man.
yeah,
Swami's
it's
great.
just it's. I don't even have much to say on this except for is Cordell Patterson like unstoppable?
I mean, apparently not, because I mean, we had no sighting of him the first few weeks, and then last week he just goes off with 3 touchdowns.
He's gotten a touchdown, I think, every single week.
Wow.
He's outplayed, which I mean, he's more of a passing running back, but he's outplayed Mike Davis. Obviously, he's been one of the Falcons' like best receivers. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I can't figure out this Washington football team though. I mean, going off what the Falcons did. Of course, the Falcons are what they are. They're a team that can score a lot of points, but they can't stop anybody, it seems like, on defense. But I cannot figure out this Washington football team. Of course, they are going to host the Saints this week. And Taylor Heineke, I mean, he played a great game against the Falcons.
He did.
And Scary Terry just balled out again. I mean, but the defense for the Washington, are they not supposed to be like
They were. So everybody
best
was their
defense
strength.
in football?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, everybody coming in this year, I mean, like, I'm a big fantasy football guy. That was like, your pick. You're like,
they
okay,
can't
they're
stop
gonna
anybody.
It's like they're just trying. They're doing the opposite of being too cute. They're trying to get pressure with just their front four. They're not doing enough exotic
no
blitzes.
blitzes,
They're not.
no mixes of-
and
yeah,
even
no
when they
mix of
do,
coverage, right.
even when they do a blitz, they drop 2 linemen back, so they're still rushing with 4. They're not doing anything like that. So I think it's not really fooling anybody anymore. Everybody's saying, okay, we need to watch out for that front four. So it's not like they're not surprising anybody this year, and so I think that's part of it. I think they need to dial it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was their strength last year, but
I'm really surprised though, Steve. Just before we move on, I just want to say this: the Falcons. I mean, they had no turnovers. I mean, Matt Ryan got sacked like maybe 1 time.
Yeah.
They converted 3rd downs on 10 of 16 times. They actually played really well.
Yep.
And then still somehow you come in here
They lost
on
one of
this week and you say they lost in the most Falcons way possible, but they actually played a pretty good game.
well,
I
you know what
think-
the most Falcons way possible is playing a good game and then losing late somehow. What do you mean the most Falcons way possible? That was a perfect way to describe it. Playing a great game and then losing
and
late
then still
somehow.
finding a way to. Okay, well,
Yeah. You
win.
can play
Okay.
bad as
You
the
win.
Falcons and lose, or you can play great as the Falcons and lose. It's just as long as the ending is losing, you're in a Falcons way. Okay, don't worry about it, Cole.
I guess that's why they call them ATL, right? You can't-
Anyways, moving on. Let's go to the big game that everybody talked about leading up to this. Well, there's 2 big games, but we'll talk about the real big game. Brady wins in his comeback home against the Patriots. I think the big talk Sunday night was Mac Jones looking really good, making 19 consecutive throws in a row. Chris Collinsworth was all over that Sunday night, so I think that was the really big story. Obviously, Tampa Bay wins a close one, and Belichick kicks that 56-yarder in the pouring rain. You're like, oh my gosh, it's 4th and 3. Like, what are you doing?
Get it closer.
Yeah,
Maybe get a
so-
little closer field goal try. Yeah.
So I think
agree.
it can go either way on that decision. Do you have any takeaways from this game other than I think everybody's Mac Jones looking
No,
good?
he did look great, but again, this is the reason why that Tom Brady left the New England Patriots was what we saw on Sunday night. There is no playmakers for New England.
Yeah,
there's
it's-
absolutely none. They ran the ball 8 times and got 0 yards. I mean,
Yeah, I think it
negative
was
yards
-2
rushing.
yards.
It was -1. It was -1.
Tom Brady had no help, and now Mac Jones is working with the same cast that he had. Nelson Aguilar, where are you at? Damian Harris, where are we going with
it's almost
that?
like they gave up on the run because it's a shoddy offensive line. They
It
don't
is.
really
It's
have a
not
good
great.
offensive line, so they just kind of gave up on that pretty early in the game. And obviously, Tampa Bay's run defense is number 1 every year for a reason. Vita Vea is unstoppable. He's unmovable.
No, he's great.
He's unmovable. But you run away from that, and then you're not you paid all these millions of dollars for those 2 top tier tight ends. You're not really using them much, and when you do, they seem to be dropping the ball, not living up to those millions of dollars you paid for them. So
I
they're
can't,
dealing with a broken roster,
right. I get that, and that's what I'm saying. It's just I guess I was shocked on Sunday night to see how competitive the Patriots were in this game, to see how much they lacked in the running game and how one-dimensional they were. The Buccaneers knew that Mac was going to have to beat them. He threw the ball 40 times, completed it 31 times. He played great.
I mean, he
actually
played-
think Mac Jones outplayed Tom Brady on Sunday night.
I think Tampa Bay had a lot of drops. They weren't playing well. Their receivers couldn't get open. You could see how much he missed Rob Gronkowski playing, just that safety net there. Antonio Brown ended up being a safety net there. But yeah, I mean, this is more of an indictment on the Patriots than anything else. I think obviously Tampa Bay was expecting a really tough, hard-fought game.
I think so, too.
The rain played, I think, in the Patriots' favor too. You had those drops, you had the slip balls and everything like that. This is what the Patriots needed. And obviously, with the Belichick 56-yarder, I think he had a 37 field goals made in a row. Nick
Right,
Folk did.
yeah.
So, I mean, hindsight's
But
2020.
you
know,
would like to see them go for it on fourth down, get it a little bit
you
closer,
would.
maybe
in
wind
his
the clock
defense,
down a
in
little
his
bit more
defense,
too.
your offense hasn't been necessarily like just lighting it up. So it's not necessarily that you would get that. And hey, if he makes that, you look smart. So
I agree.
And then you still give Tom Brady 40 seconds, and we talked about last week. Some quarterbacks you don't want to give.
You don't.
It's
And
20
he's one
seconds
of
or
them.
less.
He's one
So
of them
he
for
is one
sure.
of them.
Right.
But it's pouring rain, and their offense hasn't been doing anything either. Your defense has been lights out.
Right.
If he makes it, genius. If he misses, you're like, oh, why did you do that? Go for it on 4th and 3. So I think that can go either way. The next game we'll talk about is the other really big game, I think, in the NFL that everybody was talking about. The Cardinals, undefeated Cardinals going in and playing the Saints.
You mean the Rams?
I mean the Rams. Sorry,
Right.
the Rams. I looked at you and I just saw Saints. The Rams.
I'm glad the Cardinals didn't play the Saints on Sunday.
So are the Cardinals the prohibitive NFC favorite now?
No. Now look. Let's not. Now they're great. Don't get me wrong. But I said last week I thought the Rams had a game coming to them where they're going to be humbled, and this just happened to be a week where they were playing Kyler Murray, where he is just red hot.
I mean,
Kyler
he's
Murray
the MVP right now.
Is clearly the front runner for MVP this year,
Yeah.
and they're just hot. The defense is playing great. The offense is playing great. They're just playing on all cylinders right now. But they're not, in my opinion, they're playing great, but they're not the best roster in the NFL. And I think everything's going to work itself out for them. They're going to get to meet another time, obviously, and it'll be in Arizona the next time they meet. But I think Arizona's doing the right thing because they're doing less designed quarterback runs for Kyler Murray. They're letting him sit in the pocket. They're letting him kind of scan the field and pass. They're not calling a quarterback run every other play, which is not going to take a total on him so much. So I think they're doing smart things as far as what the Cardinals doing. Who's the head coach? Was it
Cliff Kingsbury.
Cliff Kingsbury. That's what he was. So
That was
I couldn't.
That's
think for a
usually
minute.
Cole.
That's
usually
me.
you.
I was.
For
For some reason, I was about to say Lincoln Riley. I don't know why I was about to say Lincoln. I was like, no, not him. But no,
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. Almost runs kind of the same offense, really.
Yeah.
But, no, the Rams are still, I think, a really good football team, and I think the Cardinals are definitely up there. But I would, if you ask me, because we'll get Jeff's tears at some point today. I'm sure.
Some point, eventually he'll call in.
But I'm going to go ahead and say no. Not the Cardinals. Not the best team in football right now. I mean, I don't know about
The
you guys.
best team in the NFC.
Best team,
maybe.
maybe.
That's what I said. NFC favorites, not NFL Super Bowl favorites. The NFC favorites.
I don't know.
Think about it, Cole.
I don't know, Steve. I'm not prepared to put them there yet.
Two
but
things I love with Arizona this year is I think that they're not saying, hey, we have DeAndre Hopkins, we have to throw it up to him every time. They are utilizing Christian Kirk. They're utilizing Rondale Moore. They're using Chase Edmonds. They're really using their entire offense, and I think their offensive line has looked a lot better, and Kyler Murray is getting more and more comfortable, obviously.
Hey, how about a breakout party for AJ Green? By the way,
Yeah, AJ Green, another receiver that they have. That
They do
can
have a lot of
use.
weapons. That's what you were talking
That's
about
what I'm
some of those
saying.
guys.
So
Yeah,
they
they do have
don't
a lot.
have to just say like we just
DeAndre
Hopkins
Hopkins
or bust. So I think that's what they're doing a lot better. And then their defense has been just incredible. This is a Rams team who is averaging like 35 a game, and they just shut them down. I mean, they score late, but the game was already at hand when the Rams score. So. This is that's obviously like you can go on and on about their offense. Their defense has been the most impressive.
It is, and they're going to play the Niners this week, and so I think Kyler Murray in this offense is going to play a pretty good defensive group in the 49ers. But and we'll see. Let's see if they can keep. This is the thing that I see in the NFL a lot. What happens when you go from being the hunter to the hunted? Now the Cardinals are no longer the team that's going to sneak up on anybody. They're no longer the hunters. They are the best team. They are going to be the ones that everybody's going to be like, okay, this is the undefeated Cardinals. We're going to play our best game against them because we want to beat them.
Yeah.
How are you going to play each week now that you are labeled as the
As
best
I say,
team?
now they're not sneaking up on anybody.
You're not
anymore.
sneaking up on anybody else now. So let's see how the Cardinals and Kyler Murray handle that pressure moving forward.
Yeah,
this
well,
season.
as I say, they call it. It's like the Russell Wilson. When he plays at the beginning of the season, he's always in MVP form, and then late in the season, he's not anymore. So I'll be interested to see how Kyler Murray continues to progress. So we're going to move on to our picks now into college football week 6 coming up. Obviously, we have a huge one. We're just going to jump right into it. It is my pick for the over. You can always bet the over and feel comfortable. The over may not always hit.
Always bet the over.
Now,
That is Steven's
whoa.
Always bet
the over may not always hit, but you
But
can
always
feel
bet the
good betting it.
You can always bet anything, Steve.
Well, I know, but you know how some bets you're like, if I bet this, I'm gonna feel like such an idiot if it doesn't
feel
hit.
pretty good about the over.
But then you bet this, and you're like, even if it doesn't hit, like that's I can say I bet the over, and nobody's gonna look at me like, why'd you pick that, you idiot?
You know
what I'm saying?
I would be interested to see how our bookie Tyler over there feels about this game with the over-under with Texas and
Oklahoma,
Oklahoma.
Texas at the Cotton Bowl.
You know-
Oklahoma's a 3.5 point favorite, by the way.
Yeah, they are. I kind of like the over as well. I think a lot of points are scored.
Bet the over.
Yeah, I mean, a couple weeks ago we saw Texas Tech play
70
Texas.
points Texas scored on Texas Tech.
Yeah,
and what they
crazy.
allowed Texas Tech scored like 35 points they gave
Yeah.
up.
The only thing that bothers me a little bit is Oklahoma's been weird where they haven't scored
We got our
much.
boy
you know?
Jeff
Yeah.
calling in.
Hey,
Oh,
I would love
finally.
to. I would love to.
It's about time.
What's up, Jeff? How's it going, man?
What's up, guys?
Jeff,
Good to be back.
Jeff, we're so ready for your tears and your tears. So why are you crying this week?
What's got you upset this week, Jeff?
Well, the entire Buccaneers defense being injured for one.
There we go. There we go. That can bring some
They
tears.
won, Jeff. Don't be upset. They won the game. Come on now.
They did get
I
what
mean,
two?
A win's a win. It was ugly.
I think
It
they got
was
two
ugly.
corners hurt, right, Jeff?
Yeah, Jamel Dean has a knee injury. Carlton Davis is hurt. Sean Murphy Bunting is hurt. Antoine Whitfield, the safety, is on concussion protocol.
Hey,
JPP
I mean,
is still
hey,
hurt.
Jeff, call them and tell them you'll come play in the secondary. Man,
Yeah,
go
come
ahead.
on, man. Come on.
Dude, they need somebody.
I don't know.
I'll lace up if I have to.
I don't know. I've seen Jeff run. He's pretty slow. So
Now-
Jeff, let's get your NFL tiers.
How do you guys want me to do this? Do you want me to go through the whole league, or do you want me to give you like my top 10, or how?
Let's give us your top. Give us
do
your top
5
3
or
in
3.
the
Is it 3?
AFC and then
Yeah.
the top 3 in the NFC.
That's
so
good.
6 total.
That's good. Let's do that.
Ooh, okay, interesting.
I love that sound effect there, Jeff.
Ooh.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
Okay, let me think about where I want to start. Got me off guard.
Let's go AFC first and give me your number 3 team in the AFC. I'll count them down for you.
Okay, I'm not basing this off of upside or potential going forward or what they did last year. I'm going to go straight what we've seen so far
Okay.
through 4 weeks of football.
Okay.
Number three, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
All right, how you feeling about that?
Well, you can have them higher. You could have them where you're at. I think you're not going to go wrong with either
I
one
think we're
because
going to find out a lot this week when they play the Bills. If they
it
are
will
the
be a
third
good
best team in
game.
the
It will be a
AFC.
good team. I think
So-
I think KFC tune in because I think KFC will come out striking hard. What you got? What's your number 2 team?
Number two, I'm a little torn here, but so look, guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm biased. I can't stand the Browns, and I can't stand Baker Mayfield. I'm not giving them any love. Okay.
I wouldn't either, Jeff. I would never
fine.
not put them at number 3 or number 2 or number
Yeah.
1. I wouldn't have them anywhere in the top 3 right now. They're
I don't
not
know.
one of the 3 best teams in
They're
the AFC.
3-1, barely lost to Kansas.
I love
Kansas
the
City.
Ravens. I love the Ravens, but I can't give it to them. They won some close ones they should have lost. They're banged up as well. So I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Chargers at number 2.
Okay,
I like that
good
pick.
pick. Good
I like
pick.
that one.
Just beat the Chiefs, so that's a good pick.
Yes, exactly. And
And
number
the
1,
Ravens.
Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills. Okay.
I think that's a
Bullets
strong top 3.
Yeah,
I
can't go wrong
think
with
I think
that.
you could debate the Chiefs at 3, but I think they'll have their chance to prove that against the Bills this week at home.
Definitely. So what you
For
got?
sure.
What you got with your NFC, the other side?
He's going to keep the Bucks in the top 3. Come on now, Stephen. You know that. He's going to keep the Bucks in the top 3. Come on.
The Bucks could be 0-4. He'd be like, all right, look, the Bucks are going to be number 1 on my
They'll
NFC
rebound, guys.
tiers.
They'll
Okay,
rebound.
guys. Okay. Number 3, I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
There it is.
Yeah.
No surprises there. Look, defending Super Bowl champs. Other than being super banged up on the defensive side of the ball, we know
Yeah.
what this team can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're
We know
right.
what they're capable of.
Yep. Who's number 2?
So, are you guys buying into the hype for the Cowboys right now?
We haven't talked about
I'm
them.
for the Cowboys.
We
to be
haven't
honest
talked
with
about them, but yeah, they do have some hype coming in. They've looked really good. Everybody was kind of like, ooh, maybe they're sneaky going against Tampa Bay like that. But then the rest of the games, they've looked
I'm
really
guessing
good.
you're not buying into the hype, Jeff. By the way, you asked that question. I'm guessing you're not
I'm
buying
just
into it.
curious.
That might be
You
the
know, they
best
were-
offense in football.
You could argue that, and they're a Tom Brady game-winning drive away from being 4-0.
They are.
So-
It's true.
That's a
Are you
solid
putting them at
team.
2, Jeff? Is that what you're trying to tell us right now?
No, I'm not.
Oh, all that, really,
Yeah.
Jeff, all that just to tease us, and then you're not going to go with the number 2. Really? Come on, Jeff. Come on.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna play it safe here. I'm gonna go with the Green Bay Packers at number 2.
Oh, well,
you're really stepping out on a limb there, Jeff, with putting the Green Bay Packers
he's
at your
got
number
2
2.
teams that he can go, which we just talked about. Number 1 here.
I will
which
be
is
interested to see with how he goes number 1. Who's your number 1 team?
I mean, come on, guys. It's the 4-0 Cardinals.
Okay. So
okay.
the Rams
Okay.
don't make the top 3?
Just one loss, and they're already taking them out of the top 3.
Yeah, they beat the Bucks.
No, this is what it is. He did not want to put them above the Bucks.
Yeah.
That's what it was. He could not stand putting them out of the Bucks. Yep.
Look,
That's
if
what it
I'm
was.
being honest, and I'm being completely unbiased here. Look, you saw what the Rams did to the Bucks. Okay, they head-to-head they beat them, but that was in LA. That was a banged-up Buccaneers team. I still think at full health on a neutral side, both squads, I like Tampa Bay. So I'm going to keep the Bucks there. Again, a little biased, as you guys know. But
Okay.
you can go either way. I mean,
Hey, these are Jeff's tiers. They're not our tiers. You
They're-
know?
hey,
These
you're
are Jeff's
100%.
tiers.
Hey,
Based
our
on
opinion
the
is our
matchup.
opinion.
based on the matchup, the Rams should be at 3. I'm going with the Bucks. I don't care.
Jeff, I'm actually interested why you put Green Bay at number 2.
Well, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they've got this quarterback named Aaron Rodgers.
Who? Who are you talking about? Who is this guy you speak of, Jeff? Come on now.
What are you
We don't
talking
know
about?
this guy. Come on.
He's pretty great. If I'm not mistaken, they went 14-4 last year, and 2 of those losses were to Tampa Bay. And again, I said based on what they're going to do this year. I did say that.
Tampa Bay.
But
No, he's not. He's not
this
lying. This is all facts.
We know this team's upside, okay, and they've won 3 games in a row, right? I mean, it looked horrific.
They have.
So we've got Bills, Chargers, Chiefs, and now we've got the Buccaneers at 3, Packers at 2, and then you said the
Cardinals
at 1.
Yeah.
That's Jeff's tiers this week.
And let me ask you this: we're on the phone with NFL expert Jeff Spradlin.
Jeff
here.
Spradlin, NFL expert.
But Jeff, does the Cowboys kind of scare you? Is that kind of why you're afraid to put them in your top 3 potentially?
Oh, you mean like down the road?
Do you feel like you
playoff
can't?
matchup?
Do you feel like you can't trust them right now?
I just feel like it's the Cowboys, and this happens every year. And it's like, oh, America's team, they're back, baby, and they're never back. You know, so it's 4 games. Let's pump the brakes. Let's see what happens going forward. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I like it.
I do love Dak Prescott, though.
Okay. All right. Well, Jeff, thank you for calling in as always, and we will see you next week for what you're crying about and your NFL tiers.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you guys then.
Talk to you soon,
See you,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Bye.
All right, glad we got our NFL expert on the line there for his expertise and
Our
his
awesome
tiers.
NFL insider for Under Review is Jeff Spradlin. We
so
love
back
it.
to that, how you feeling about the over/under? You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling good on the over there.
The over in the Oklahoma-Texas game. Tyler
Correct.
likes the over.
Yeah.
I like the over. Who do you got covering, Tyler? You got Texas or Oklahoma?
Oklahoma's favored by 3 right now.
3.5, yep.
3.5. We'll probably see it get down to 3, maybe 2.5 before game time Saturday. Kickoff's at 11 Central, 12
No
Eastern,
idea.
potentially, because that's
Always
when they
that
always
noon
kick
kickoff,
off.
Say you could have said any
So,
time and I would have believed you.
No, but I like Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler coming off that Kansas State game last week where he's completing 88% of his passes. He had a great week last week. But I like Oklahoma in this one, guys. I think Spencer Rattler has a great game, and he kind of shows out.
Okay.
Gets himself
I
back in the
picked Oklahoma
Heisman
to show out like 6 times, so I'm going to pick Texas here.
race. Yeah. Hey, they got to do
Oh,
it
you're picking.
eventually.
Oh, you're actually picking.
I'm going to
Texas.
go money
Wow.
line.
Okay, you're
money
picking
line Texas.
Wow.
That's going to be my
Is
pick.
Texas back?
Wow. Now, look, I will say this to defend Steven here. Since they've replaced Hudson Card with Casey Thompson, Texas' offense has looked better. The only problem for Texas is their defense is still horrendous. They're 106 in the country against the run, giving up over 4.5 yards per carry. And that's one thing Oklahoma has done really well in the first few games. They've played really good defense, and they have ran the football really good. So if Spencer Rattler can just make a few big plays, I'm with Tyler. And I still like the Sooners, Steven. I think it's like 34-27. I have the Sooners covering over the Longhorns.
Hey, all you got to do is score 1 point to the other team.
You're right. I just don't know if they're so lenient on Bijan Robinson,
Yeah.
and I just don't know.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's defense actually been pretty good against the run this year. I just
Yeah.
don't know how much I can read into that Texas. I know that's what Tyler pointed to was the Texas Tech game where they scored 70 points. I mean, how bad is Texas Tech's defense?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't play well against a good Arkansas defense either. So, I mean, you can point to that as well. I'm not really basing it off anything other than a feeling, And, hey, we've seen how that's gone for me so far this year. So, pick the opposite. You're probably going to win.
if Cincinnati wants to get in the playoff, hey, this is one of the things that has to start happening.
Yeah.
So
hey, well, I'm rooting
Texas
for Cincinnati.
winning.
I'm rooting for Cincinnati. So the next game we got SEC game, Arkansas at Ole Miss. Obviously, both teams coming off of hard losses. They were both kind of maybe they could be sneaky in both in
good.
both of them.
Sneaky
good in both of them. Ole Miss is at a 5.5 point favorite right now. Cole, what you got?
Well, these are two teams that just came out of an absolute buzzsaw last weekend, so we're going to see what's left of these two teams coming into this game, and I think we'll really determine how, I think a lot of people are talking about how good Ole Miss and Arkansas are after they got blown out by Alabama and Georgia. Look, though you can't really base what happened last week. They faced two teams that are just way above their league.
Yeah, Alabama
as
and
far as
Georgia are
talent.
like here, and then everybody else is just
right. So
another
it's just not
down
fair.
one.
This is going to be a more accurate game as to how good Ole Miss and Arkansas are. But I mean, I really think that what is the over under on this game? I would actually be.
Oh, it's 60.
We talked about it earlier.
Logan talked about it. It's like 67, I think.
Yeah, I think it
You
was
would probably want to
66.5
take.
on
I mean,
some boats.
66.5. Yeah,
I don't know that I
66.5.
would take the over on this game.
That's
I
what
would
Logan said, take the under.
Take
We're-
the under for sure.
Under. I'm on the under on this one too. Over on the Oklahoma Texas. Just feel good about it. Texas money line, and then under Arkansas.
This
Ole
is
Miss.
a tough game to predict, but guys, for some reason, I like Ole Miss in this game. I like
Okay.
them about 38-28. I think Ole Miss is going to win.
Ole Miss
this
wins
game.
and covers. Tyler, what you got?
Look, Arkansas has a great defense. We obviously didn't see that last weekend because they were definitely overmatched against a great Georgia squad. Has better athletes than Arkansas, but I think we kind of see something similar this week. Ole Miss scores a lot, and kind of Arkansas, they might get to your mid-20s there, but I'm with you, Cole. I think like at 38, 20.
It's at home. It's in Oxford, so I mean,
yeah.
I think Ole Miss looked a lot more competent against Alabama than Arkansas looked against Georgia, so I will go with that. I would say I'm not going to bet this game because I don't feel good about it.
I don't think anybody wants
but
to touch this game.
the under. Bet that.
If you had to bet anything, I definitely would bet the under.
Bet the
though.
under.
Yeah.
So Bama, the next game we have is Alabama at Texas A&M. Obviously, this is a game at the beginning of the year everybody pointing to. This was Alabama's most likely loss at the beginning of the year. Texas A&M coming off of two.
Oh boy, how things have changed.
Yes, let's say Texas A&M
since
coming
then.
off of two bad losses. Alabama's a 17.5 point favorite. Tyler, what you got?
Obviously, I like Alabama here. I think Alabama wins by huge, but 21 or more. 21 more in this game.
I like it. So Alabama
Better
wins and covers?
Yes, I think so. And better question for you guys. Do you think Alabama scores 30 before halftime?
You know, this is that's a good question, Tyler. I have the score about 34-13. So I mean, if they score 30 at halftime and then they score that much in the second half, I don't
With
know.
two safeties,
This is
30
the
and then
thing.
two safeties.
The thing is, Texas A&M's defense is actually pretty good. They're not bad. The problem is they're just on the field way too much because Zach Calzada and this offense for Texas A&M is just bad. The real bet I would want to take is how many times does Texas A&M actually get in the red zone? I mean, I just don't see how they're going to move the football.
You know, I feel bad for Texas A&M because they have a great like athletes. You know, around Zach
They have
Calzada.
dudes.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
if you look at their recruiting, they have the same caliber recruits that Georgia
They
and
just
Alabama
cannot
do.
put it together. For some
Yeah.
reason, Jimbo Fisher and his staff cannot figure out. And then the offensive line has a couple of injuries, and they haven't been great. And they have, is it Isaiah Spiller? Is he a transfer from Clemson to Texas A&M, I believe?
Isaiah
Correct,
Spiller
yeah.
still.
No, he's still playing
How
for Texas
old is
A&M.
he?
Well, you know, they had the COVID rule last year where they said that the
Yeah.
seniors could come back 1 year. That's how like Brian
So is he a
Robinson
fifth
came
year?
back. So I'm thinking he might be a fifth-year guy.
My gosh,
But
I
yeah,
feel
no,
like
so
he's
he's
been
back.
playing for Clemson since like 2012.
Well, and he's you're thinking of a different guy.
CJ Spiller.
Thinking of CJ Spiller,
Okay,
right?
that's fair.
Do they have any kind of relation? Are they related?
No clue.
No, I don't think so.
That's crazy. That
Tyler with the definitive
the
no.
same,
I have no idea.
the same university. They came from Clemson University, and some of they have that last name, but they're not. That's wild that they came like that. But anyways, Texas A&M obviously does have the dude, so it's not that they lack the talent, but for some reason just cannot get together that offense and find a way to score. So Jimbo Fisher and his staff are just going to try and keep it competitive. I mean, I think that's the real question is how competitive does Texas A&M keep this game in the first half. You know, we saw it kind of get away from Ole Miss, and Ole Miss was a team with a prominent offense. So Texas A&M, a team without one, I mean, I just don't know how they're going to be able to score. That's the only problem. If Texas A&M had any kind of offense at all, maybe, but this I think Alabama covers easily.
Well, like I said to Logan, y'all kind of pointed out everything, so I'm not going to talk too much about this game. Like I said to Logan, I mean, you don't lose too much money betting Alabama in the spread, so
Right.
You don't.
Alabama,
You don't. You absolutely
Alabama
don't. No.
minus 17.5, going with that.
Tide rolls for sure.
Tide rolls. Next game, huge rivalry game big game for both teams.
The Deep South's oldest rivalry.
It is Georgia at Auburn. Obviously, it changes a lot that it is at Auburn. Now, I don't know if y'all watched that Georgia State game. Obviously, it's Georgia State, but the Auburn fans really showed out. They were very loud at the end of that game, especially. Obviously, you don't want them to have to be that loud against Georgia State, but they were very loud. So I think that helps Auburn a lot, obviously, that it's at home. Bo Nix plays better at home, like we've seen, except for last week, apparently. That's the outlier. And Oregon neutral site game his freshman year. But Georgia's 15.5-point favorite. I kind of like Auburn.
Really? To
cover,
cover?
to cover,
Okay.
to
Whoa,
cover.
whoa,
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 whoa.
whoa. You gotta like be more clear about that.
Back it up.
You have a lot of
Back it
listeners
up,
and a lot of
Cowboy.
viewers here that are like, whoa,
Back
wait a
it up.
minute. You like them to win? Whoa,
Kind
wait
of
a
like
minute.
Auburn to cover.
You know, look.
15.5 is a lot of points for a
Now,
rivalry
Steven, what did we learn
game.
from last week?
We did, but this is a rivalry game.
Steven literally said, if you weren't here last week, Steven, the very words were for the
18.5
Arkansas
is a
Georgia.
lot of points.
18.5 was a lot of points.
Is that not a lot of points, though? Before you watch that game, going into the game, that's a lot. You even said that is a lot of points,
That
but
is.
you like Georgia to cover.
It is.
It's 15.5 is a lot of points for a rivalry game. Georgia is a much better team, way more put together. It's just I feel it.
No. Look, the short answer here is Georgia's going to win this game.
They're going to win.
The question is, well, no, I know, but the question is by how much, and this is the problem for Auburn. You had Bo Nix running for his life last week against LSU, and that defensive front is nowhere close to what you're going to see against Georgia on Saturday. Bo Nix, when you say running for his life, I'm just wondering how many times he's going to get hit and sacked on Saturday. I mean,
the Auburn offensive line
it's
has
bad.
been it's not.
bad.
It's like they can never fix it. It has been bad since like 2014. What is like how?
Gus Malzahn's offensive lines have always been kind of suspicious. I mean,
Yeah. I guess give
as
Brian
to
Harsin time to get his guys in.
Yeah, give him
Yeah.
some time to get his guys in. But yeah, against LSU, I mean, it just seemed like Bo had no time to throw the football. Now he created plays with his feet. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do that against Georgia.
Oh no! Again, I do not expect Auburn to win. I just think that and again, I lost this pick going with it last week, but the emotion with it, I like Auburn's emotion.
I just don't like. I don't like Auburn at all. I think that they may.
Georgia wins
I
and
think they'll
covers.
be lucky to score
Tyler,
a
what you
touchdown.
got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I don't know if they score over 10. I mean,
Yeah,
so
if they score a touchdown, yeah.
My biggest question is,
I'm gonna be so wrong, but I love it.
my biggest question is, Stetson Bennett is probably going to start this game.
Yeah.
JT Daniels not looking likely for this week. So
He didn't have to throw the ball hardly at all last week, and they
No.
dominated on
Yeah.
offense because
Yeah.
of the running game.
Yeah, they have a trio of backs in the running back field back there. But I wonder how many points Georgia's going to score. I see something like maybe in the low 30s. I think they do score a lot because I think Auburn defense is on the field a lot.
Yeah,
I think so, too.
And their defense is good still, but Arkansas had a good defense going into that. They allowed 37 points just being on the field all the time because Arkansas's offense couldn't do anything.
Could do nothing.
So again, all signs point to Georgia covering. That's why I like Auburn covering. All right, so we'll move on to the big game. You like the whispers, don't you, Cole? I've seen you. You like the whispers. It's because you have the headphones on. You can really
it's
hear
like
them.
it just
Yeah.
amplifies your
It
whispers.
does. That's what I'm
even
saying.
more.
You
Right.
love the whispers.
Right. It's just great. It's great.
Penn State at Iowa. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit. We'll fly through this one because we got a full slate of NFL to talk about. We've got some baseball to talk about as well. But Penn State at Iowa obviously has a lot of repercussions on the Big Ten. I like Penn State. I think their offense is just better than Iowa. Iowa's got a really good defense. Penn State has a really good defense. I like Penn State's offense better than Iowa's, so I'm going to go Penn State to win this one.
Yeah, no, Sean Clifford
Close
and,
one,
and
but
Mike Yurkich's offense is definitely better than Iowa. That this is the team that, hey, I had to eat my crow a little bit. I said that Iowa would lose last week to Maryland. I didn't believe in them. Yada yada yada. And wow, Talia Tagovailoa, my goodness, threw 5 interceptions against them, and they just completely devoured them. So look, Iowa is a good football team, and they're going to be tested this week. And Sean Clifford won his last trip to Iowa. They won. So I mean, look, this is a team that's been in this position before. Now, we're going to find out a lot about this Iowa team. Can they, if Sean Clifford and them get into a kind of a shootout and kind of score some offensive points, can Iowa keep up that scoring without, like, was it Logan earlier that was talking about how Iowa's not going to get 5 or 6 turnovers earlier? Are they going to be able to keep that up? I'm not so sure. We're going to find out this Saturday. I like the Lions, 30-26 over Hawkeyes.
Penn State, close one. We both got Penn State. What you got, Tyler?
Interesting. Well, I told you guys earlier, during this football season, I'm a big believer in Iowa. I think I'm going to stick to that. I think Iowa wins this game in a close one, guys. And I think Iowa's a point and a half favorite?
1.5, yeah.
So, yeah, obviously I like them to cover. But,
Iowa.
I just like the way they're old school. But, the time they play the time of possession. They play good defense. And, I mean, that's all you got to do.
It's a good formula for success.
Iowa's scheduled the rest of the way. They should, if they win this game, they should go undefeated until the championship game because their schedule is nothing compared to Penn State's. Penn State's got a gauntlet, so I think Penn State wins this one. Close one. All right, so we'll move on to NFL games this week. We're gonna fly through these really quick because we already touched on our teams and everything like that. These are most of these teams. Jeff already talked about how much he hates the Browns, so we don't have to touch on that. The Chargers are number 2 in his tiers. We don't have to touch on that. The Chiefs are number 3. With the Bills-Chiefs game is going to be the huge one. But let's start with the Jets at the Falcons. The early game in London. Atlanta is.
What time does that game actually start?
8:30.
Wow.
So it's technically an Atlanta home game. So Atlanta's 3-point favorite. I'll just keep rolling with it and keep getting hurt. Atlanta wins because the Jets are a dumpster fire. Even though they won, it was the Titans.
Yeah,
it was the Titans without. It was the Titans
AJ Brown
and Julio Jones,
right.
And the Jets had to win late. It wasn't like they just came out and played good. Obviously, Zach Wilson has his first good game, but I'm pretty sure he still threw an interception. So he can't just stop throwing interceptions. So I'll go with the Falcons.
I so badly want to pick the Jets, but I'm not going to. I'm going to still roll with the Falcons because they are the better football team. 24-20 Falcons win, but I so badly want to pick the Jets for some reason.
Guys, if you like ugly football, this is the game to watch. Calvin Ridley's going to be out this weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
Is it Russell Gage, too, going to be out as well?
Yeah,
then,
I believe
for
so.
personal matters?
Yeah. So I like the Jets in the upset this week.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Hey, they beat the Titans with their top receiver, so hopefully Kyle Pitts and Mike Davis get a lot of points because I have them on fantasy team. All right, moving on to the Saints at the Washington football team. Cole, your Saints. New Orleans is a 2-point favorite. I'm going to pick the Saints because they didn't play well at home. Now they're on the road again, so maybe they're going to play well.
They actually have been a better road team for some reason.
There we go. They haven't been home except for last week.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what to make of this game, but I feel like the Saints are the better football team, so I'll roll with them. 28-17 Saints win.
You just talked up the WFT's offense.
Their offense is good, but I keep waiting for this defense to show up for the Washington football team, and I don't think they're going to. So I think the Saints cruise into the bye week with a win over the Washington football team.
There we go.
I'm with you. I don't believe in this Washington football team defense. Almost said Redskins there. But
whoa, bleep that. Bleep that later. Bleep that.
But I just don't believe in the defense.
The FCC's coming.
I think the Saints get it done. Jameis Winston has a big day.
All right, next game we got up is your Bears, Tyler, at the Raiders. We said we were going to find out a little bit more about the Bears with Justin Fields at the helm in this game. Vegas is favored 5.5. I'll go with you first, Tyler. What you got?
The Bears are going to hurt without David Montgomery this weekend.
Yep.
So I'm going Raiders.
Raiders and cover?
Yeah, I think they cover.
Okay. Cole?
Yeah, no, the Raiders are going to win. I mean, their offense got kind of humbled last week against the Chargers, and they ran into a team that's on the come up or whatever. So yeah, Raiders definitely win.
I like the Raiders, but to not cover. It close. It close. Browns at Chargers. The Browns have won a lot of ugly games this year. Their offense has not been anything good. Their defense is apparently their strength.
How bad was Baker last week?
He was
against
very bad.
Who was it they played? They won 14-7. I can't remember what team they played.
The Vikings.
Oh, yeah, so bad.
But their defense is all of a sudden their strength when their offense was their strength last year. But they Kareem Hunt you and Nick Chubb you to death. So that's all they kind of have to do. I like that laugh, Tyler. All right, so I will go with the Chargers just because they look so good right now. They look like they're on a roll here. They're 1.5 point favorites. So I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Two things you got to do to win football games. You got to have good quarterback play and be able to pressure the quarterback. The Chargers do better than that of the Browns on both those phases. That's why I'm taking the Chargers.
I'm more interested in watching this game than the Bills and the Chiefs.
Yeah, this is a big game. I mean, 2 3-1 teams that are pretty good.
Yeah, they're definitely top 10 teams, both top 10 teams.
Is Justin
arguably.
Herbert the best young quarterback we have in the league right now in the NFL?
I've seen on some talk shows they're talking about, most NFL teams. Now, not all NFL teams. Most NFL teams would trade their quarterback right now that they have for Justin Herbert because he's so young,
so impressive, man.
and he's looked great in both of his
impressive.
first 2 years. So
he's very impressive.
That offense looks nasty with Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. I mean, it
looks really good, and their
very
defense,
nasty.
Joey Bosa back
Oh
there
my
is
goodness.
Their whole team is young is the thing. The whole
It's
defense.
scary. It's scary how young
Who'd they
this
lose
team
to?
is. The Cowboys, week
Yep.
one.
They lost to the
No,
Cowboys.
not week one.
Was it week
two?
two? Week two.
Man, they should have. I think they should have won, didn't they?
Yeah, I think there was,
It
I think it was a
game.
very heavily debated
close game.
call in the game, whatever.
Yep.
So yeah,
Give me the Chargers.
Chargers. All right, so we all like the Chargers, right? Correct.
I think so. All bolts.
And then the big game that everybody's going to be talking about, the AFC matchup that everybody's going to be talking about, the Bills at the Chiefs. I believe this is Sunday Night Football too.
It is.
That's great. Sunday Night Football game. So we'll have Baker and Josh Allen going at Baker.
You were name dropping tonight, Steven.
I'm trying to
You
name.
just name dropped Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield. So that is now I have to say you should apologize to Patrick Mahomes for even putting him in the same sentence as Baker Mayfield.
I'm trying to remember names, Cole, and because I'm very bad at it, as you've seen. But obviously, I'm just still bad. So
it's fine.
Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen will be going at it. The Bills have a great defense so far this year. They should be 4-0. They somehow lost to the Steelers in a very weird.
Yeah, it was a very weird
game. I'm going to go with the Bills. I'm going to go with my Super Bowl team. But I do think that Kansas City it's one of those things we talk about with college football. I don't like my pick, but I'm sticking with it because I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. It was one of those things where, the really good teams just need a little bit of motivation, a little bit of chalkboard material to really get them going. I think that Kansas City is going to hear a lot of noise this week. They're going to hear a lot of, are the Bills better than the Chiefs kind of thing, and they're going to really... So that's why I don't like my pick, but I have to make it. So what you got, Cole?
Yeah, you could still lose a game and get to the Super Bowl, Steven. So even if the
You
Bills
can.
lose this game, they could still come back and win this.
But I have to.
Okay. All right. Well, you're going to die on that hill no matter what, apparently. So, but I like the Chiefs. I mean, this is a home game for the Chiefs. And just for that reason, like you said, bulletin board material, all they've heard for the last 2 weeks. Well, okay. Whatever.
You're right.
All they've heard for the last few weeks is how, oh my goodness, is the Chiefs window closing? Are they a championship football team? They come out Sunday night and they show that they are.
So you like that? You like that? Okay.
I like the Chiefs.
What you got?
That window is not closing as long as Patrick Mahomes is in Kansas City.
Come on, my homeboy. Come on now.
Exactly. I think if these teams play 10 times, I think Kansas City wins 9. So I'm rolling with the Chiefs.
Okay. I like my Bills pick a little bit.
Steven respects the one.
Well,
they've had 10.
They've had 2 shutouts in 4 weeks. I like the Bills defense.
They haven't played Patrick Mahomes, though.
They haven't, but their defense has looked really good, and their offense, their run game is finally coming together. Golly, I can't talk tonight. Coming together finally for the
Words
first time.
are hard.
They
tonight.
are.
It's because it's Thursday and not Wednesday. That's what's throwing you
off. I'm
doing
doing a podcast and my words just don't work. That doesn't go well together there.
It doesn't.
So that wraps up our NFL picks and our college football picks. I do want to talk to you guys just really quickly on a non-football related topic because we normally talk football here, but it's October. That means it's playoff baseball season. We already had a Red Sox-Yankees game that you would think that the Yankees scored 2 home runs with the way the announcers were talking, but they didn't. The Green Monster came to play for the Red Sox, you know what I'm saying? So we already had that game. We just had the Astros whooping up on the White Sox tonight. And then we also had the Dodgers winning in a walk-off home run.
That was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah.
So I want to start off with, guys, I think we're all Braves fans here. How are we feeling? Where do we think we're going to go here? What do we see in this postseason for the Braves?
I think they have a chance. I think they have a chance against the Brewers, honestly. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. The problem is the next round when they play the winner of San Francisco and the Dodgers. That's going to be a series, guys.
That is going to be a great series.
But, I mean, I think the pitching staff is going to get the Braves through this series against the Brewers.
This is so interesting to me because I had seen a lot of people on Twitter say, man, I would much rather lose to the Brewers and then not have to play the Dodgers and Giants because at least we would have to play one of those teams from LA or California again. But that has been just the story for Atlanta. I mean, the postseason woes, have been there the last few seasons, and this is a team that has talent and can make a deep postseason run. The problem is there's just so many good teams out there, and I look, they can definitely win this series against the Brewers, but it's also a series that they can also lose. So I don't know. As far as my expectations, do I think they can win a series? Yes, they can win this one. But as far as moving forward and getting the World Series, I'm not getting my hopes up.
Right.
I'm not getting my hopes up for this team at all. And is it Charlie? Is it Morton on the mound for the Braves tomorrow night?
It is.
I mean, and he's been one of their better pitchers, obviously. But I mean, I don't know really what to expect for this team moving forward. They've been kind of up and down all season. How they play against Milwaukee will shape what they're going to have. And the Dodgers and Giants series might go all. Is it 5 or 7 games in the first series?
First of 5.
Is it first of 5? Okay, so it could go all 5 games for them. We'll see what happens in this Brewers and Braves series and which team can win. Maybe they get a few days rest if they were to wrap it up in 3 games instead of 5. We'll see. So.
Yeah.
I think the Braves are getting hot at the right time, so I really like the Braves to win against the Brewers.
Can
honestly.
the bat stay hot? That's the question.
True. That's
Not
true. But the pitching,
you touched on
has
the pitching.
been. I was
It's
going to say
been
the
there.
pitching has been there the last few games, and I mean this is the first team I think ever with all infielders, or they were going to be the first team ever with all infielders hitting 30 home runs. Their infield has been absolutely outstanding. I'm so devastated as it gets later in the season, and obviously right now that
No
they don't have
Ronald
Acuna.
Acuna. Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that big home
How
run
much
bat.
of a difference do you feel like you would have moving forward in the series?
It's
if
just you
had
don't
Acuna?
have to do that kind of outfield by
Right.
committee. You just
Right.
have that one guy that you can rely on, for
He's
that
gonna go
bigger
get
bat.
you a big hit
Because
or
I
something
think
that
that
you need, right.
obviously the Braves did not live up to all their expectations. They win the NL East again. I think it's 4 years in a row. Yes, correct. But if you have Acuna, you just feel so much better going into this. I feel like their pitching has looked better this season, late in the season, than it did last year, late in the season. And we saw how they did last year, just losing 3-1 lead to the future champion. But it is what it is. I think they'll win, but I think they lose pretty handily to the Dodgers-Giants winner without that Acuna. I think it makes a difference with Acuna there. I think
you're
he's
right.
I think he's that big of a
I
difference.
like
agree.
that. Yeah.
All right, so I'll get your
So
World Series
yeah, I
picks
was
real
gonna say,
quick. I'll get your
who's
World
everybody
Series
think?
picks. So what do you think,
You
Tyler?
start, Steven. I'm honestly just more curious to hear what you have to say.
I mean,
Dodgers or
I was about to say,
Dodgers or
it's-
Giants? That's what I
it's-
want to hear. And then
what I'm really scared is I think the Dodgers. Just they're
you
so
think
talented.
they come out of the NL?
Well, they're just so talented, and the Giants have obviously just so overachieved this year. Nobody thought they were going to be where they are right now. The Dodgers, one guy gets hurt, they have the next guy. Their starting rotation of pitchers is terrifying.
Yeah.
You have Walker Buehler, you have Clayton Kershaw, you have Max Scherzer. What?
Yeah.
That's
nuts, man.
That's usually one guy is on one team, not all three. So that is terrifying. I just think, they're favorites for a reason, guys. I will say that the way the Astros have played this year, everybody's most hated team,
Yeah. No,
they have looked scary good. They've looked
Yeah.
as good as they were when they won the
Shout out to
championship.
Matty L, one of our dear friends here on Under Review. He has been all over. He has just had the most hatred towards the Astros of anybody I've ever seen. To our little Snapchat and text message thread, he sends all the memes that are just trolling that Astros
how do you
team
not? It's so easy to hate them.
the time.
It's so easy to hate them.
I've just never seen somebody who just, anytime there's a meme out there, he will send it because he just cannot stand Houston. Now, I'll be
Cheaters,
a different
man.
one here. I'll be the different one here. I got the Tampa Bay Rays winning the World Series.
after they
yeah.
lose
Over the
first time.
Giants. I have the Rays and Giants in the World Series, and I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Rays.
I have the Dodgers,
World Series
but
this year.
I think the Astros will come out of the AL, and that'll be a rematch. And I don't want the Astros to win, but man, they've looked good. What you got, Tyler?
I like I like the Dodgers out of the NL, and I think I like the Astros out of the AL. And I think the Astros.
Yeah, man, I like
Wouldn't that be just what the MLB just hates?
Yeah.
If the guys who just got caught for cheating in the last championship they won came and won this one.
Man,
wow, what a backhand!
I'll pick the Dodgers
to the
but
rest of the league.
I
if
don't
they
feel
did
good
that.
about it. All right, so that wraps up our October baseball talk there for a minute. We might touch on it later. We may not ever again. Who knows?
We'll see how the Braves
Yeah,
are
I
doing
was
next
gonna
week.
say, we'll see how the
We'll
Braves
see how they
do.
do next week.
Braves
We'll see how
win.
long
We
wanna
might talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we'll continue on. We'll start with my stat of the day because that's usually the quickest here. We talked about this game a little bit. We forgot to mention that Tom Brady actually got the passing yards record for the NFL.
He did.
The all-time passing records.
And they actually took a moment during the game, and like fans were cheering. I
Yeah.
was like, wow. I was like kind of weird because you're losing. Your team's losing.
I don't
but
know.
You're going to
They-
sit there
I mean,
and
the
clap
Saints-
for him. So, okay, all right, good point.
I was about to say.
Okay, good point.
We're going to hear this from a Saints fan. All right, so I don't want you to look at my computer screen because you're going to cheat right here. But I have a question
Okay,
for you.
all right, gotcha. Go
So
ahead.
Tom Brady is one of 4 players in the NFL, NBA,
One of 4.
NHL, MLB history to be their sports all-time leader in championships won and a major stat at the same time. Can you give me the other 3, or one of the other 3? A major stat,
A major
they're
stat,
leading,
and
a
they're
major
leading
stat, and they're leading the most championships won.
So Bill Russell's got to be one.
Bill
Russell
Come
is
on,
one.
Bill Russell's got to be
He
one.
he leads in rebounds.
Wayne
and
Gretzky's
championships.
got to be one.
He is
no,
not.
no. Okay, not Wayne Gretzky.
It's an NHL and an MLB player left. NHL you're not going to get. But you might can get the MLB.
Way.
It's a big name, really big name.
Is it Babe Ruth?
It is Babe Ruth.
Okay,
Did you cheat?
no, I did not cheat.
Okay.
I did not cheat on that.
He led
one,
in
so.
home runs and championships won.
I felt like that was kind of, Yankees and
Yeah.
home
Yeah,
runs. I
that's
mean,
what
that
I
was
was
kind of,
thinking,
yeah. So
Yankees.
Babe Ruth, and we got Bill Russell.
I
And
don't think you're going to get the hockey player.
Who
It's
is
not
it?
Wayne Gretzky. It's Maurice Richard.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
No way. No way.
Yeah, I
There
didn't know
was-
the name
there
either.
was no way
He
I
led
would
in
guess
goals and championships won at one
that.
point.
For which team?
I don't even know who that is.
I have no idea.
That
who
could
this
be a
even
made-up
is.
name.
I mean, wow.
That could be a made-up name.
Yeah, ESPN could have just totally
Yeah,
made that up.
ESPN,
We have no idea.
ESPN
So,
stats and info.
The
could've
others
just
make sense,
completely-
though.
Yeah.
The other ones make
Yeah,
sense.
there
Bill
you go.
Russell and Babe Ruth for
But
sure.
it's pretty
That's-
crazy because those are
to be
those
in
are
that
both-
kind of fraternity.
Well,
for
Bill
Tom Brady,
Russell and
that's-
Babe Ruth too. You got to think, which I'm sure this guy is early on too. They're very early on in their sport.
Oh, that's
So for Tom Brady, for the
players,
NFL
yeah.
to be around for
and he's still here.
for
Oh, my
50
God.
something years, and he's
When
now.
Tom Brady finally retires, I mean, like, how many stats? I mean, could this guy possibly have? I mean,
Well,
he's
he-
going to
he
own records
should-
for everything.
he should win. Obviously, he's got the passing yards record, and then he should break the touchdown records this
I
year.
didn't
as
know
well.
this. Did y'all know there's 2 quarterbacks currently on in history, of course, not currently playing, that have thrown and completed a pass in an NFL game that are older than Tom Brady? There are 2 guys that are.
Oh,
actually
yes, I
old.
did know that. I
I
know
had
that.
no idea about this.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's not the
they
oldest.
showed them.
Vinny
I was like,
Testaverde.
Testaverde,
Yeah, he was like 45 or something like that. Yeah,
I was like,
I don't know who the other guy
one
is.
guy's like,
don't know.
I can't remember the other guy, but he was like 45, 46 years old. I was like,
What's
how?
that? What's the guy's name that completed the Hail Mary pass for Boston College? Heisman winner.
Doug Flutie?
Yeah, Doug Flutie.
Doug Flutie? Yeah,
he was like
he played for a long time.
He was
too.
in his later
Yeah.
40s when he
Yeah.
played for the NFL.
But
still, so.
he was like a backup or something.
He
like that.
was.
like-
He didn't
wasn't
play
that
much, but
significant
I
playtime.
completed a
Right.
pass. He might have completed a pass. So I don't know. That was
That's a good
that'd be my
stat,
thing.
though, Steve.
I liked it. I saw it and I was
that's
like,
a very interesting
gotta
stat.
keep it. So
I like you turning your stats into a quiz question
Me
too.
too.
That was pretty
Challenge.
good.
maybe we'll be
me.
Steven's quizzes.
I like Steven's statistical question of the day or something like that.
That's a
Hey,
mouthful.
that's a mouthful.
Tyler,
But
let's get
good.
your gambling picks and we'll wrap up with Cole's
All
Doghouse.
right, I got 3 quick ones for you guys. Starting off in college football, we're going with Kentucky -3 against LSU Tigers. LSU coming off that hard loss to Auburn this past weekend. So with them struggling, I kind of like Kentucky too. Kentucky's the home favorite. And Chris Rodriguez leads the Wildcats in 191 rushing yards per game for Kentucky. I like Kentucky in this one, guys. And then transitioning to the NFL, Packers are 3-point favorites against the Bengals. I looked over this for a long time. You know,
That's
the
what I say.
Bengals are 3-1 coming into this game.
Yep.
Big win over Jacksonville last weekend on Thursday
Big
night.
win over
or last
Jacksonville.
week on Thursday night.
Choose your
You
words
see-
carefully there,
you-
Tyler.
You see how I'm hyping them up here, Cole? But let's roll with the Packers. One of Jeff's high tier. What do you
Shout
say
out,
now?
He was
shout out to
number
our
2.
NFL insider. On
He was
under-
number
yeah,
2.
Jeff
They were
Spradlin.
number 2
Yeah.
in the NFL.
Number
Sorry,
2.
the NFC. Jeez, golly. I'm having trouble tonight. They were number 2 in the NFC.
We got to get out of here. Steven's going to be name dropping all night if we keep on going here.
Oh gosh, I almost said
So,
NFL.
so we got Kentucky covering, and you've got Green
that.
Bay covering.
And I'm going to give you one more NFL game, Miami versus Tampa Bay, under 48 points.
Under 48, I like it. I like that pick. That's a good one.
Miami's looked really bad on offense last
Yeah.
few weeks.
Hey,
so
well, Tampa
that's
Bay
not
hasn't
bad.
looked great either.
They have not. No.
So, and Gronk going to be out for this game too, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to say Myles Gaskins is out against a tough Tampa Bay run defense. Too,
Yeah.
Oh
so-
my gosh! Don't start him in your fantasy league. That's all I got to
Right.
say.
Yeah.
Don't do
there
it.
you go.
Do
Cole,
not do it.
who's in your doghouse this week?
You know, it's kind of ironic that Tyler puts the Kentucky LSU game in his picks because I have in my doghouse the Bayou Bengals. I am actually high on LSU this week. I think that Ed Orgeron is kind of trying to put the pieces together and kind of put the wheels back on the wagon from that loss against Auburn. Of course, he had that big distraction that happened with the fan calling into the coach show that happened this week. So I think Kentucky, again, has been kind of fool's gold. 4 out of 5 games, they've lost turnover margin. And when LSU has won the turnover margins this season, 3-0. They have not lost.
Wow.
I think the LSU Tigers are going to go in there to Lexington, and they're going to beat Kentucky. That's my dog this week that's going to win outright. The Tigers are going to not only cover, but win straight up, Tyler.
Tyler Stat or Cole's doghouse? Who's gonna prevail?
I'm going against the picks, and I'm going with the doghouse pick. I like the LSU Tigers.
All right, we'll have to trash talk each other this upcoming weekend.
We'll see who comes out.
Can't wait for the texts.
What a great show.
That was a great show.
guys.
Great show as always.
Good calls. I mean, man, we had
Great calls.
everything tonight.
Great
It was
calls. We had everything. We're a little bit quicker tonight. I like it. A bit better pace tonight. So we didn't go 2 hours and 15 minutes where we did last week. It's a little bit better pace tonight. So we are back to our normal time next week, Wednesday nights, 6:30. Tune in live. If you can't tune in live, listen on wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on Instagram, and we'll give out our picks. We'll give out other social content. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Anything else? Any other one?
We'll see you guys
Did you
next
say
week.
Twitch?
See-
Did you say Twitch?
Twitch.
Twitch.
Twitch too.
Don't forget
Twitch,
about
baby.
Don't
Twitch.
forget about Twitch.
All right, guys. Cole,
See you next time, guys.
God bless America. That's what I was looking for.